Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
Have you ever told the Christmas story without mentioning Bethlehem, the shepherds, the wise men? How about leaving out Mary and Joseph, or not even using the name Jesus? That would be kind of difficult, don't you think? The book of Matthew uses 48 verses to tell the story of Christ's birth. Mark skips it altogether, and Luke, always rather verbose, adds lots of details, telling it in 120 verses. But John sums up the story in one verse. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld His glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. Really, the whole Christmas story is contained in the phrase, the Word became flesh. John tells us who Jesus was, the Son of God. The writers Matthew and Luke include a genealogy in their accounts, one of Jesus' mother Mary, and one of Jesus' adopted father, Joseph. But John's Gospel has the genealogy of his real father in the first verse. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This little baby in a manger that we sing about at Christmas time was God Himself. John 1:1 is such a deep verse. Whole books have been written about the Word, the Logos, and why John used that title for Jesus. We'll get into that a little bit tomorrow. But the interesting thing about John 1:1 is that it shows that Jesus even predates Genesis 1:1. When the Bible starts out Genesis by saying, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth," Jesus was already there. As part of the Trinity, He was there before the beginning of the created world's history, before creation, and He was intimately involved in it. Remember how things were created? God spoke, and the world came into being. His Word, the Word, created all things. So the God of the universe, the God who created all things, becoming one of His creation, that's a big deal. It's the most important truth in the Bible. Everything before it led up to Jesus' coming. Everything after it looks back on it. God became flesh. Without God becoming a man, living a perfect life, making a perfect sacrifice, and conquering death, we would have no hope, no salvation. The Word of God, the power, omnipotence, all of who God is, somehow wrapped Himself in skin and submitted Himself to being human and all that meant. Hunger, thirst, tiredness, pain, suffering, temptations. He took on flesh and lived like us for 33 years. Yet, unlike us, He lived a perfect life, always submitted to His Father's will, so He could die for us. He was fully God and fully man. Paul puts it this way in Philippians 2:6-8. Jesus, who being in the form of God, did not consider it robbery to be equal with God, but made Himself of no reputation, taking the form of a bondservant, and coming in the likeness of men. And being found in appearance as a man, He humbled Himself and became obedient to the point of death, even the death of the cross. It's not a concept that we can easily wrap our head around. Yet, like many biblical concepts, it's simple enough that a child can understand it. The invisible God became visible and touchable. We can't put God in a box, but He packaged Himself in His glory in a way that normal, ordinary people like us could see, interact with, and understand. He became the embodiment of grace and truth, as verse 14 says, but also love, compassion, wisdom, patience, all those attributes of God shown in a way that we could identify with and emulate. He showed us how we as His children should live. Think about all the stories of Jesus in the Gospels. What characteristics of God did Jesus show? What have you learned about God from Jesus that you wouldn't have known otherwise? How does God becoming flesh fill you with awe and wonder?
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through His Word. You can listen to other episodes on our website, which you can find in the description below. Thank you for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.